All right, so here's another problem we have with a Fast and Furious supercars. The seat. It's a known problem with these things. The seat eventually stop working and they won't go forward and they won't go back. I have two of them that are doing it, so it's not the most easiest. It's sort of a pain in the butt, but it can be done. And once you do a few of them, you kind of get used to them. Anyways, you're gonna have to remove some hardware from the sides here. There's some on the other side as well. There's some in the front and the back, and on the front right here. As soon as you remove those, you can lift this up and then get to the actual nuts on the bottom. And then you have to kind of remove those nuts. So let me go ahead and do that part real quick. All right, so now that you have the seat off, you can see what I mean. Just make sure that when you're removing it, you're gonna place the seat somewhere where these will not get too tight. You don't have a lot of slack in here, although you again go through the whole process of removing the base, separating the base, and then plug the wire so that way you can be able to remove the seat completely. But to save time, we're just gonna leave everything together and just be careful when doing this. So we're gonna go ahead and remove these little nuts right here. There's 4 of them. We're gonna remove those, remove this plate from the actual seat, and then I'll show you what's in there. All right, so now that we have this top plate apart, I removed it already. I just kind of laid it over until here, so just kind of get it out of my way. Again, make note, do not try to stretch these cables out, these wires, because you will break them, so just be careful. It is metal, you don't want to scrape the sheathing on it. So another thing you want to do is you want to remove these little spacers. You don't want to lose those bad boys. Just get them out of the way. Throw them in your little toolbox. So these are the springs that we are going to remove. I'm going to remove these. I'm going to put new ones on there and fix the chair so that way the chair will slide forward and back so people can be able to play the game if they're short. All right, so let me go ahead and start pulling that apart and I'll get back to this. All right, so just so you know what I'm talking about, so removing this, you can have these little C-clips. They're right on the end. So you just kind of pop those bad boys off. So you're gonna have one on this side as well with a little tiny washer. So you just pop those bad boys out and you can pull this thing out completely and be able to work on this. So just so you know what I'm talking about what's broken here is you can tell that we have 4 of these little legs and 3 of these little top parts. It's because this one right here is missing and it's broken. Plus another thing that I see is it doesn't have its like plastic guide. It should be a little plastic piece that sort of locks all these wires in place, so that way they don't turn, because they will turn on their own, with enough force, and then they'll lose its position and it won't open the seat. It won't allow the seat to slide. So I have to find that little plastic piece so I can reinstall it and hopefully make the seat work the way it's supposed to. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to finish this job. The seat maybe it'll slide without it, but it'll probably start failing after a while. So let me go ahead and start looking for that bad boy and see if I can find it. All right, so I couldn't find the little plastic piece, so I'm just gonna go ahead and replace the little springs anyways. Another way to take these springs off is just to kind of force them out. If you have the 2 ears there, you can probably, pry on one side of the ear and then the other side of the ear and release the tension so that it can slide out a little bit better. But I tried it with this one and one side broke on me, so now I kind of have to force it out. But you do what you got to do anyways. Remove them and make sure you put them back in the same way. You notice that it has an upsweep spacer, another one with an upsweep spacer, and so on and so on and so on until you get to the end. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'm probably going to take this down to the shop and see if I can make something to give me that same effect. I would prefer if it had that guide on there versus not having it on. I'm not sure what it would do without it, but I'm gonna replace it and see if I can make one. All right, so let me go ahead and take care of that. All right, so I've almost done installing the new springs. I already removed the old ones. So if you notice, I am putting them back the way I found them. It's sweeping towards the up. I got one spring, spacer, spring, spacer, spring, another spacer, and then this will be the last spring. So to get them on, it's much easier to get them on than it is getting them off. Like I said, if you happen to have this little ear on there when you're going to replace them, it's just going to bend them like this and release the tension, and it will allow you to slip it off real easy. So with that being said, you just kind of do the reverse thing, just kind of squeeze it open and slide it on in there, and then straighten everything out so it's nice and even. So like I said, now the problem I have is that I need to find something to keep these together. I need to push this down a little more. So I'm going to take this down to maintenance and probably make something. I don't know what I'm going to make it out of, but I'm definitely got to make something to fit over there to give it that little guide. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. All right, so I made my little guide. As you can see, it's sort of easy to make. I just made it out of some kind of like plastic type of material. Cut it to size. It is rather small, so it looks kind of big on the camera, but it's really supposed to be kind of small. It's really not that big at all. Drill some small little holes to get the little pins in there, and then that should be it. So from here, you just got to reinstall it back into the seat and then place everything back together. There is a small trick of putting this kind of back together. I'll show you that in a second. Just sort of let me put this back in there with all the clips and everything. All right, now that that it's back on, you can see why I have that little piece there, because that is when they pull this little lever here, it'll push down on this and it'll spread these out and it'll allow the seat to go back and forth. Now, the hard part of doing this is getting this little section onto this little section right here. Sorry, it's so dirty. But make sure that these washers on the outside are in. If you want to use a little bit of, you know, like grease or something like that to help them stick together. Plus, it wouldn't hurt to grease this up so that way it slides real nice. That's your choice. So the best part is to, you know, you lift this onto here and try to line it all up. But remember, put your spacers back on. You don't want to slap this together without your spacers. So make sure your spacers are put back on before you try to do that. All right. So like I said, you want to try and get this little section right here, this piece right here. You want to get this in a center of these right here. So when you flip this over onto here, you're going to try and get these two pieces on the outside edges of these washers right here. So one will go right here like that, pushing this side, one will go on this side, pushing like that, and that will hold everything in place. All right, so let me go ahead and put the phone down and try that. It is a little bit of a pain in the butt, but you will get it. So let me go ahead and take care of this. All right, so I got the pieces together. Like I say, you just got to do the best. Sorry that I couldn't show you exactly how I do it, but you know, if you've done these before, you know what it's like. If you haven't, then you're in for a pleasant surprise. So now that the plate's back on, then we can put these bolts back on and, you know, bolt everything back together. Let's go ahead and do it. All right, so now that you have your seat back on, make sure you put your little bolts back in there so that way the seat is nice and secure, it doesn't fall off. You want to go ahead and test your seat. You know, just kind of pull the lever, and you know, you can pull the seat forward some, back and forth, no problem, and it works just fine. So that's it. That's how you fix the whole sliding part of the seat. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and then let this game go. That way people can play it. All right. Hey, thanks for watching.